Good day. Welcome to a little presentation on selling the menu, otherwise known as describing deliciousness. When selling the menu, remember it's all about how well we describe food and drinks in a way that makes the guest want to go shopping. That's our whole goal. Can we entice them to go shopping? And through this process, we end up individualizing each guest's experience. We make it unique to them. When you're selling the menu, there are a couple positions at the table that you might consider. First of all, the selling part is really a form of broadcasting information to the guests, whether it be specials or changes to the menu. Once we've sold them the information, now we need to be prepared to answer questions they may have. I also call this a location called the broadcast position. In both selling and answering questions, you should be at one point on the table addressing the whole table. However, when we switch to capturing the order, we want to move to each guest's right shoulder and make it an individual conversation. It's a bit more intimate because they're telling us exactly what they want. And of course, there may be points that need clarification, which are better suited as a one-on-one chat. When you sell the menu, it's important that we maintain the process according to how we'll deliver it. So we'll explain the items from first course, second course, and third course. And then when we capture, we'll do the same. We'll take a complete guest order from one guest at a time before we move to the next guest. Remember, your nonverbal communication here is very, very important. Eye contact, the tone of your voice, and how slowly or quickly you talk can help to capture the guest. When selling the menu, we use description to energize the experience. So here I have 3 menu descriptions, all about prime rib from 3 different restaurants I've taken off the web. I'd like you to pause the video at this point, read each description, then unpause and move to the next slide. So, now that you've read each of the descriptions, consider which one makes you want to go shopping the most. Do the descriptions alone complete sort of your interest in buying the prime rib? Or do we need help? Or does any specific description need help from the server? My point here is the written menu has one role, and then the server has another role in completing the sales transaction, or at least in energizing it. So the menu itself, in its written form, it creates an expectation by the guest. It starts to build the interest for the guest, and it informs them of the general items we have for sale. When the server steps to the table, the server can change that energy and make it more exciting, using their tone, their body language. The server's knowledge can inform the guest and help them better understand the reality of the dish or drink they may be buying. And then the server, acting as a salesman, can capture that order to ensure that we have a good sale for both the guest and the restaurant. So, when you're describing food or drinks at the table, we're going to use a small template or format consistently throughout our course. I break the template into 4 parts: describing the product, talking about the preparation of the item, discussing the cooking method, and then highlighting the finish. Here is this information in greater detail. So when we talk about the product, there are many things we can say. Some of them being the size or the quality or where that product came from. When we talk about preparation, we want to highlight any form of unique thing that we did in-house before cooking. It could be carving it ourselves, so we butcher our own meat. It could be how we marinated the dish, how we seasoned it before cooking. When we get to cooking method, we want to energize the whole experience of how we've produced the dish. We want to use really sharp adjectives to create excitement and entice the customer to go shopping. To finish our explanation, we're going to tell of the sauce or accompaniment that completes the dish. We really want to highlight flavor here. So, the template is as simple as, can you take the product, the preparation, the cooking method, and the finish and create one flowing paragraph that energizes the dish you're trying to describe? So why don't you try it? Use this template and apply it to the concept of a cheeseburger. See what you come up with. You can pause the tape, write down some ideas, and then unpause and move forward to take a look at how I did it. So here's my view of the cheeseburger. We could say that it's an 8-ounce patty. The meat comes from Wilshire Farms. It's Black Angus quality. In preparation, we hand form these burgers. We season them with kosher salt and fresh cracked ground pepper. When we cook them, we're going to grill them on an open flame, or maybe we pan sear them. And then when we finish, they are served on a home-baked pretzel bun that has been butter toasted. Now, if you could take those 4 parts and put them into one flowing paragraph, you could have a pretty enticing statement to make customers want to buy that cheeseburger. So you're going to need to do this every day that you are assigned to being a server. You will be doing this with each entree we have available for sale. So you should complete these descriptions before you come to class, because I'll check to see that they're done, and then you're going to have them listed in your server pad. And this will take some of the work away from your day so that you won't have to do that in class. Remember to use the product, the preparation, the cooking method, and the finish. That's what I'll be looking for in your server pad. Another way a server can energize the guest experience is trying to get the customer to buy a little more, or maybe a little more expensive. We call this suggestive selling. The 3 techniques of suggestive selling are highlighting, using open-ended questions, or upselling. When you highlight, you're simply bringing attention to a particular item on the menu. When you're using open-ended questions, you are creating a discussion, perhaps asking the guests, and when they're thinking about the wines to purchase, what they normally drink at home, what kind of flavors they like. When you're upselling, you're getting the guests to buy something a little bit bigger or of a higher quality so that they're spending a little bit more money, but in return, they're getting greater value. So we'll see where we can do that in class as well. So as you get more comfortable with describing food and standing in front of your guests and taking their orders, I wish you good luck at selling our guests.